What's good, YouTube? Thanks for coming back. Today we're going to be talking about unity loops. We're going to be starting off with the for loop, the while loop, and the for each loop. Before we get started, we will go ahead and check out the setup for the for loop. So here we go. The for loop is set up like this. So we got the for starting off at the far left, and then we have what is in green, the set iterator, the red, which is the conditional, and the pinkish is the iterator change. And in the middle, we have the action to do here as we're going through the for loop. So what does this mean? The set iterator is a value that we're going to start off with, and it's going to be used by the conditional statement to see if we are going to go continue or we're going to go ahead and stop. And the iterator change is what it's going to make the iterator change to a different value to compare in the conditional to be able to tell it if it's going to keep on going or stopping. So let's go ahead and check out the for loop. All right, here we go. So I already created a game object, and I also created the script that we're going to be modifying to learn how a loop works. So this loop is going to be the for loop. So let's go ahead and check it out. So here we have the for loop already set up for us, and I separated in pieces so we can go ahead piece by piece and see how it works. So let's go ahead and set the iterator. So int I is going to be set at 0, and that's what it's going to be starting off with, and we're going to be changing it in just a bit. Now we're going to be checking the conditional where we say where I is less than 3, less than 3, it'll be looping nonstop until it is met. So the last piece, we're going to iterate, or we're going to use this value to iterate, and we're going to say each time this loops, I is going to be +1, or 1 is going to be added to it. So it's going to keep on going up until this is met. All right. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and set up a action right here. So we're going to do something different, or not different, but the same old, same old. We're going to do the debug, and as this loops, we should be able to see how much this is changing each time this change by. So let's go ahead and see what we get. So before we go ahead and run it, we should expect to get 0, 1, and 2. So let's save it, head back and see what happens. All right, let's go ahead and check the console. We're going to hit play, and we should get 0, 1, and 2 to be popping up. Check that out. We got 0, 1, and 2. Once this hits 3, the conditional statement can't go on any further, and it stops. So that's one way to make something loop with a for loop. All right, let's go ahead and check out the next type of loop. All right, here we go with the body for the while loop. So the while loop is pretty straightforward. The conditional is basically going to be keep on running as long as this is true. So once the conditional now is set to false, it will stop, and while it is true, it will keep on doing the action when until it is false. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. All right, here we go. So we got the body already set up. We have the conditional, and we have the action that's going to be doing something here. So right off the bat, we're going to go ahead and say same old, same old. And in this case, we don't have something to come out yet, but let's go ahead and set up a variable. So I'm going to make this variable up over here, which is global, which means anything can use it. So I'm going to say that the integer is going to start off at 0. All right. Now the conditional statement is going to keep on printing as long as this is true. So I'm going to say that, oops, I almost forgot. Integer is I. There we go. Now the conditional is going to be comparing this value right over here. We'll say that I is going to keep on running until this is false. And we're going to say, set this up to 100. And well, let's just say a little bit smaller. Let's say 20. All right. So we got this set up. Now we're going to print out what I is every time it loops. But before we continue, we have to change that iterator, right? So that iterator, which is I, has to change, otherwise it'll be printing out the same thing forever. So once again, we're going to add 1 to it each time it passes through the loop. So we have it all set up. Let's go ahead and take a look. We'll save and head back to Unity. All right, let's go ahead and check out the output for this. I'm going to go ahead and hit play and check it out. We got all the numbers. We started off at 0, and it ran up all the way till 19 until the loop was false. All right, the next thing we're going to do is the for each loop and wrap it up. All right, so we have the for each loop. It's kind of like the for loop. It's a little bit more fancier, I think, and I love using this one. The only thing is it goes through, I guess, it's kind of like a built-in iterator system for this. And you need the keyword that says in because it's going to be using the portion that says array, which is a actual array that holds all the information. And it's going to be looping through all of that, and it's going to be doing actions for you. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so here we got the for each loop. So let's talk about what I did to make this work. So before I started, I went ahead and created an array of type integer, and I called it the I variable. And inside this array, we have these values right inside. So now that I have that done, now I can go ahead and use it in the for each loop and iterate through it. So let's take a look at the for each loop. I already have the iterator portion that we're going to fill out in just a bit. In is just the keyword that we need to be able to process this, and I is just straight up the array value for this. So let's go ahead and take a look and set this up. So we want to set up a value in here, so I'm going to say int, and we're going to say, I don't know, num. Okay, and now we have it set up right here. Okay, so now we have everything that we need. It's very, very easy to use. Let's go ahead and do an action, or use an action. And we're going to say that this action is going to be debug.log, and as it iterates through the array, we're going to go ahead and just print out all the changes, or not the changes, but what's inside that array. All right, so we'll save it up, and let's go ahead and take a look what is going to be printed out, which should be all those numbers from 5 to 8. And I made a little quick mistake, so let's fix it. It's because we want to see what num is, and that's what's going to be printed out. So we'll go ahead and change that I to num, which is going to be the iterated value for us. So now I can save it and run it again. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and hit play. We should start off with 5 and end with 8 and all the contents inside. So let's take a look. All right, so we started off with 5, got 21, 3, 6, and 8, and it printed out everything using the for each loop. So that pretty much is it. We wrap it up with another quick session. So thanks for checking this out. Later.